Thank you so much for that beautiful welcome. You can take this back. Thank you for that welcome. While you're standing, there's one who made this woman worth celebrating. Without him, I might have been, that worst nightmare in your neighborhood, in your organization. Not that woman that you avoid, the woman you can't stand. So it is Christ in us, the only hope of glory. Lift up the King of Kings. Come on, lift up his name. To lift up the one who is already lifted up is a great honor and a privilege. Come on, lift up your voice and say something to the King. Tell him he's worthy. Tell him you're nothing without him. Come on, ladies, I know we have an expression, something to say to the King. Something to say to the King. Heavenly Father, we just want to honor you today, Lord. What a privilege that in our lifetime we can witness the shifting, the repositioning, the dominion and the rising of an entire generation for your glory. Father, we choose to put weight on this moment and its significance. We just pray, Father, that through it all your name will always be glorified in the name of Jesus. If you believe that he is risen, so you can rise. Give the Lord a shout of praise as you take your seats. Honorable Minister, such a privilege. It's we receive more than titles. We receive living, breathing people. And I really get how Lady Norina says, I've got to have her. So guess what? I'm just saying things to myself right now. But thank you so much for all you bring into your leadership. Despite what you say, we truly experience it. I know I personally did today. Please, let's just appreciate her. Lady Norina, my dear friend, you saw when you called out your squad, I stood. So the only thing is I'd be the very quiet one. I'll be the one who never says anything. I just watch these people making so much noise, but I really just love you, and I just thank God for what God is doing for us. Yeah, I think it's really special, and I'm so privileged. Congratulations for all that it has cost you throughout the years to remain standing. Sometimes we look at, when we count years, it's easy to take a lot of things. It's easy to miss how loaded years are. Because if you just think about what your day has been today, if you think about from January to now, these 10 months, what are all the things that have happened, for you? So think about years, its events, its milestones, its experiences, but to remain standing, I salute you, girl. God bless you. And of course, this work doesn't just happen on its own. To the team that's backing you, the Aarons and hers, the Lord richly bless you. Mama Julie, I'm coming home, okay? Yes, Chikanda, I'm coming home. And members of the press are so important, and media, so important to recognize you, especially so that we can get some good angles, It takes a lot to recover from a vacation. That was like 3 months ago. But yeah. All right, just where you're sitting, I just want you to pray. I want us to pray. I know we prayed as we began, but there's something, please allow me also to acknowledge the speakers, the great servants of God who I have the privilege to be sharing this podium with. Let's just celebrate them. Pastor Mpangwe, we love you so much. You're the only speaker I see right now. Oh, yes, and of course, none other than one of my favorite accountants, but someone who I know cheers me on from such a distance. Man of God, I celebrate you. Let's just welcome Mr. Chibuye as well. The clergy, all of the servants of God, the ministers, Esther, my baby girl, love you so much. Pastor Chibwe, every single person here. Because we don't have much time, I could go on and on. But Paul Paul dedicated an entire chapter greeting people, and that was it. So I'm just trying not to be like Paul here so that we can share a message. And of course, somebody's going to help me with time. But listen to me as we get started. I really want to celebrate and honor you for just choosing to be here today. You could have been anywhere else. One of the things I come to realize more and more is how it is that God has this way of shifting lives, shifting destinies, changing people's stories on a seemingly ordinary day. There was never a time when God says, okay, put up the stage, camera, lights, action, drum roll. It was while Moses was tending the flock of his father-in-law. It was while Gideon was in a wine press hiding. I don't know who's hiding. I don't know who got comfortable in the place of limitation. I don't know who wanted to be a princess, but now you're just taking whatever comes your way. You know, maybe expectation has gone. I want you to know that God doesn't need a big announcement. He can shift your life today. That's why it's almost impossible to say when was the day that your life changed. Somewhere in the process of doing life, on a seemingly ordinary Saturday morning, maybe we'll say today's not ordinary, Pastor, but maybe a predictable one. In your mind, you could have thought, okay, this is how it's going to play out. But let me tell you, God's agenda will blow you away. So I want us just to take a few seconds and I like to have these moments of it's a moment of consciousness, right? It's just a moment of saying, hey, I'm here. And you know, we need to have more of those moments, even as we become our sister's keeper and we have our sisters back. You know, it's one thing to just, send a message, send an emoji, hi, and all of that. But sometimes there's something very weighty about saying, you know what, Noreen, I'm here. I just want you to know I'm here, right? And there's something about now when you present yourself before God, you're saying, Lord, I'm here, so here's my heart, what you want to do with it. Please don't allow me to be a hindrance. In spite of myself, please come and rescue me. Come do that which only you can do. Is that all right, ladies? Just where you are. And gentlemen, just for a few seconds, just where you are. It's personal. This is you and God, you and God. You and God. Heavenly Father, I present myself before you, Lord. I'm standing here to minister, yes, but I'm aware that your word is a double-edged sword, and the women are praying. The women are praying. They're praying for themselves right now. Father, your word is a double-edged sword, so I recognize that what you are doing in this room to the people you have sent me to minister and serve today, you are also doing for me. Father, please, may you touch my life the way you want to. Don't let me be a hindrance. Let every thought, every imagination, every hindrance, anything that would seek to stand in your way, every thought that seeks to make itself greater than the knowledge of you, today I bring it down to become obedient to you. Let everything line up so that I may be present, so that that which you are doing, which I may not understand, may come into full effect. Father, as I pray these words for myself, I pray them for the gentlemen. Verses 1 to 3, I'm reading out of the Amplified. The Bible says, arise from spiritual depression to a new life. Shine, be radiant with glory and brilliance of the Lord, for your light has come, and the glory and brilliance of the Lord has risen upon you. For in fact, darkness will cover the earth, and deep darkness will cover the people. Somebody say, but the Lord will rise upon you, Kupes, and his glory and brilliance will be seen on you. Let me tell you, people think it's a face beat, but it's his glory and brilliance over you. They'll think it's that promotion. They'll think it's that new relationship, but it is his glory and brilliance over you. Nations will come to your light. Nations will say, where is that light? What is that light? And they will come to it. And kings to the brilliance of your rising. May the Lord bless the reading of his word. You know, As we think of rising, I had a portion in my notes. I wanted to put a subtitle, but I really couldn't. I think this title on its own is where I want to really pour into. Rise, your time is now. And I think that when we think about it, everybody wants that next level. Everybody wants to rise. Everybody wants progress. Everybody wants to know that, you know what, I've moved from where I was. I'm in a better place. I'm doing better now. I have some achievements now. Things are looking good on my path. Doors have opened. We want doors to open. We want next level things. But one of the things I want to say to you today is that we have to revisit the definition of next level. Next level has more than what the world is offering. Next level is going to tell you it's the perfume you're wearing. Next level is going to tell name and surname. And it's so easy to think that once you get to that place, you've reached your next level. It's so easy to think that, rising is about that new relationship. I spent the week at a conference with older women, and it was really different because I'm so used to younger faces, but it was really nice. And I challenged the mothers then. I said, please stop telling your children that, if you behave yourself, if you're going to be a good girl, a good man is going to marry you. Because that is not the highest standard of holiness. The highest standard, the deal you should be selling to them is a healthy relationship with God. Tell them, baby girl, if you look after yourself, you will have a full relationship with God because it is in that place where all good things come. See, the challenge that then happens is we have young women who says, why am I having relationship challenges? Why is my marriage turned out like this? I was a good girl. I kept myself. So every time we devalue the reward, we break the expectation. So we have to be at a place where we begin to revisit, what is it really that we are selling? What is it really that we are saying is the promise? What does next level truly, truly look like? And so I want today that as we have this conversation, that we start to look at the original so that we can identify a counterfeit. Now I say to people that, I must tell you, maybe I'm slowly becoming a brand person these days, okay, so don't quote me. But I'm always fascinated by people, who look at a handbag and then they'll check the zip, they'll check something, they'll say, this is not an original. I'm like, how do you know that, right? And then there's something about people who are able to identify counterfeits, can only identify a counterfeit if you know the original. I left Zimbabwe, my home country, in 2008, and at the time that I left, it was crazy in the country because we had hyperinflation. I was saying at the conference I was this week that, we'd actually have a situation where when you're trying to do shopping, you couldn't do that casual, Alba aisle, right, Ruth? Smell the strawberries, and you literally had to move quickly from picking your commodity to the checkout, right, to the till, because the prices were changing between the shelf and your walk to the till, right? I think the highest currency we had at the time was the Novemdencillion. So we went from having hundreds, thousands, trillion, we have $1 trillion note. So this on its own can give you a picture of how rapidly we were having these new notes introduced. So when you've got a new note, you need to take some time to get familiar with it. So the central bank will go into the communities and they start to teach people how to identify notes. Now, isn't it interesting that they will never teach you a counterfeit? They were coming around to business owners, to people in the community, and teaching us how to identify originals. Because if you know the original, you can identify a counterfeit. So when this guy is like unbuttoning your blouse and he's like, babe, it's just the love I have for you. I don't know what to do with it. Your awareness of what true love is from the prototype of God the Father will say, okay, this is not what love feels like. The love I know protects and preserves. So stop believing, guys, it's just that it's my love, I really wanted for us to wait, but it's my love is about to explode. You will know that love does not explode like that, okay? Anyway, that's not in my notes. It was just by the way, so let me behave myself now. So we want to know that we have the correct definition of what it looks like for us to get to the next level. Let me say a few more things to you, then I'm going to share 3 things with you that I want you to consider in your rising. But before that, I want you to remember that God is a God of speed, and there's a difference between being in a hurry and speed. We are a generation that God has entrusted with so much. I remember when 3 years ago, I lost my husband. And one woman of God came to me and she says, "Well, Pastor Gladys, congratulations." I'm like, "What? I'm never talking to you again. What are you saying?" And she says that the fact that God could trust you with this, so think about everything that we are sitting with now, all those different situations, the things that have us shaking our heads, the things that have us wondering, what has society become? You have to know that, what? God has entrusted us, this generation, to be the problem solvers. And it's going to take our rising up for us now to begin to bring innovative solutions. There's room for us at the table, ladies. As a child of God, I refuse to say, because I'm also in the corporate world, So I always fall victim of the fact that, Pastor Gladys, or even if they don't call me Pastor Gladys because they know I'm a minister, they'll be like, "Oh, Gladys, why don't you pray for the food?" No problem, I can pray for the food, but I also have a contribution to strategy. Because I'm sitting here with revelation knowledge. You may be sitting there with research documents, but I sit here with the ability to interpret things beyond the realm of the natural. And I want you to allow the speed of God that he has ushered in this generation. I want you to partake in it. God is not in a hurry, but I'll tell you there is definitely a speed. There is a profiling of children of God to begin to find solutions. So don't fake what can be real. Don't fake what can be real. I think the important thing for us to even remember, even as I just go into these 3 things, is to always remember that in all that God does, he's a God of process. And everything that is usable has gone through a process. If you can eat it, if you can drink it, if you can use it, the chair you're sitting on is a product of process. There's nothing useful that has not gone through a process. And so it is important for the cake to know that the most significant process could be the oven. And so you start to realize that it's burning, but there's something significant happening right now. Amen. All right, so 3 things. Let me just speak these 3 things to you, and I will be leaving the podium. So let's talk about what the rising will do, because what I wanted to make sure I get to do today is to help you to build an appetite for your rising. But I also wanted today to hold you in the process of your rising. I wanted to give you some assurance in the process of your rising so that you can separate the promise or what the world is selling about rising, so that you can see beyond the stage. If there are people you look up to, before you ask for that selfie, or even if you ask for that selfie, I encourage you to also ask to go behind to their backstage, because that's where everything you see on stage is made. There are critical processes that happen beyond the stage that get us to stand. And so I wanted to hold you in the process of your rising, so that while you are rising, you don't feel that you are falling apart. Is that all right? So number 1, your rising is your repositioning. Where's Eunice? Come, Eunice. Your rising is your repositioning. And this is the thing that we have to come here, please. So this is the thing that, no, you can come down here. Here's the thing that I want you to think about when it comes to repositioning. You see, anytime that you are being repositioned, there's shifting seasons in your life. You don't really get what's going on. God seems to be separating you from the familiar. You're feeling a little bit lost. Every repositioning is a rising. Come up, come up, come up. It's a rising up. But you see, what happens in your rising is that there are advantages to your repositioning through rising. Because in this place of repositioning, in 2000, you will not have to go into 2023 cutting people off. Because when you reposition yourself, you leave people there. And those who are coming here would have also risen with you. You see, we spend so much time saying, oh, girl, I just feel like we're coming into this new year. And I know we've come a really long way, but I want to do better for myself. Then Eunice is like, well, I also want to do better for myself. No, it's not that I'm saying you don't want to do better. I'm saying, how many of you have had those conversations? No, what I'm actually saying is I just feel like God is taking me to the next level. Oh, so we're not going to so it's you only going to the next level. No, it's not what I mean. And you tire yourself so much. Before you know it, it's June, and all you're doing is you are quarreling and having battles with people. All you need to do is leave the crowd and reposition yourself. That's what the rising will do for you. The repositioning that rising will bring for you is a level of access. See, when you've left the level you were at and you rise up to become who God is calling you to be, that is your place of rest. Ladies, let me tell you, you will be restless until you rise to the level that God is calling you. When you come to this place, it doesn't matter how well you've done. You may have a lot of successes under your belt and say, look, I achieved this, I've done that. But until you are where God wants you to be, you will be restless. This is where people say, I don't know, I just feel like, I don't know, this is just not good enough. And you think, if I get that promotion, I think I'll find some rest. And it doesn't work that way. I think if I go in, if I like finally hook up with this girl, with this guy, I think finally. How many of us, you ever just thought to yourself, one day, like when I finally have like 1,000 kwacha, 1,000 kwacha, which is just sitting in my handbag, minding its own business. It's not supposed to pay for anything. Goals. One day, when I've just got my 10,000 kwacha, it's there. It doesn't have to go pay anything. It doesn't have problems to solve. It's waiting. It's also waiting to be spent by me. And you think the day I have that 1,000, I know I'm going to feel better. Man, when am I going to get that 1,000? What do I need to do to get that 1,000? I'm chasing that 1,000. I'm chasing that amount of money. How many of you know you got that 1,000 and then you wanted more? True fulfillment comes through purpose. It comes from you rising to the level where God wants you. But ladies, this repositioning is about the access that God wants to give you. When Jesus Christ met the brothers who were fishing, what did he say to them? He says, follow me and I will make you fishers of men. So what he was saying to them is, he says, guys, you know what? You've done so well fishing fish. But I'm taking you to the next dimension. I bet you never thought you could fish men. You've been fishing fish, well done. But I now want to show you how to fish men. And so their journey of exposure came. And the place of your repositioning is a place of divine access. It's about you. It's an exposure happening for you at levels you never understood. That place is a place where God begins to introduce himself to you from where you are at. And he says, listen, I know you've known me as the one who provides your bus fare. I know maybe there were times when you were not so sure whether you go to school. But at this level, there is an expression of me I need you to know. Do you know that I can land $1 billion in your hands for the thing that is going to shift people's hearts? Do you know that I can cause your wildest dreams to come alive? I just need you to know that the reason I rose you through repositioning is that we couldn't do it here. Because if you remain here, you don't have the capacity. See the bottles of water on your table, they've got a lid. The lid, the capacity of the lid is way too small for the water that's there. If you don't allow the Lord to reposition you, no matter how uncomfortable it is, your capacity will remain small. So he says, listen, I can pour into that lid, but there's wastage. You're going to reposition yourself. Allow me to enlarge your capacity, and then we begin to pour. I don't have time to talk to you about what that looks like in detail, but I encourage you to search it out for yourself. The second thing that your rising will do is that your rising is your upgrade. Your rising is your upgrade. See, when we think about what an upgrade looks like, I want you to think of the iPhone 14. Right? Can everybody just, raise their iPhone 14s? All right. But you see, it's goals. Like if we're offering I don't know, any sponsors giving, are any of the sponsors giving an iPhone 14 to a speaker in green, perchance? Anyone wearing green today? But you see, the iPhone 14, what happened is they got a team of innovators to do some brainstorming sessions, and they wanted to develop a piece of technology that was designed to be able to solve problems, okay? So now that's why we're saying there's an upgrade of these pieces of technology. So the upgrade is now the iPhone 14. Now the reason people are paying top kwacha for that piece of technology is because of the number of problems that it solves. Your value is attached to the number of problems you solve. If you're not solving problems, you are not valuable. Oh, Pastor, but we are all valuable in the sight of God. Yes, baby girl, you are, but you've got to do the thing that makes you high value. Because let me tell you, there's more than who God called you to be. There is becoming the fullest expression of who he called you to be. And so when you begin to think of a personal upgrade, here's the interesting thing. A personal upgrade is going to be the day that you are presented with problems that you need to rise up and overcome. That's the day that your upgrade happens. So, and please indulge me. I know I do tend to talk about my husband's passing a lot, but there's so much that God did for me in that particular season, or let me just say, in this season of it. And I remember that the way that God ministered to me was so much that I said, Lord, I promise you, if you can keep me, if I can survive this, if you can help me through this, if you can sustain me, if you can anchor me, you know me. I won't stay silent over it. But I would tell you that for me, my upgrade right now has been the manure from the death of my husband. What is manure? Manure is the stuff that's left after a process. It may not smell so good. It may not be the thing you want to carry around in your handbag. But if you can process pain, if you can process your limitation, that's why I said, you see, this is all going to be, rising up is a process issue. If you allow God to take you through a process, out of that process will be a product that allows you to be relevant. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, because I've been doing mentoring, pastoring for some time, and one of the things I just thought to myself is like, if before my husband's passing, if somebody had come to me and said, I've lost my husband, what I would have done, and they're talking about how they're struggling through it, what I would have done is really given them a really tight hug and told them, I got you, I'm so sorry. And then they'd have told me to say, I'm running out of breath. I don't know what to do. And then I'll say to them, the Bible says he's the breath of life. Just breathe him. And they'll say, I just don't know what to do. But pray. Just pray. God is good. He neither sleeps or slumbers. Just pray. While that is good, while it is okay for me to tell people it is well, I have to be equipped to tell them how it is well. Without the resources and the intellect to be able to help people be well, we become storytellers. We motivate and inspire people, which is not a bad thing. But for the problems our generation has to solve, we have a lot more that we need to bring to the table. And so I would tell you now that I've had opportunities to work with the judiciary and doing a care program, helping organizations now in developing what it means now for helping their employees to overcome grief. Because whether we like it or not, COVID took people back into their homes, into their work spaces in a certain state. And those people are supposed to function. And so many people are so tired right now doing work with the burdens that they are too ashamed to say, what's in my bag? There's brokenness in my bag. There's emptiness. I'm afraid to be here. One of the things that I do is like I'm looking out for people who are in leadership positions because they are so vulnerable. You see, people who are influential or in leadership positions, they are doing life just like you and me, but they are doing it under a spotlight. If they don't have the support to courageously attend to their wounds, we are going to be in trouble. I'm saying the society is going to feel the impact of people who are making a difference under threatening circumstances. So they never get their wounds attended to. Because if they go to, somebody will take, is that, a wound? Wow, just move this way. I want to take a bandage, Just, we want to disinfect this, just look to that side. What's taking a picture got to do with nursing my wound? So your upgrade, beloved, is going to be the thing that you bring. If I had not gone through what I went through, I would not know how to help people. When someone tells me that, one day at a time is too much for me. I used to think it's okay for people to live one day at a time. But now I am qualified through my upgrade to tell people that when one day is too much, because I know sometimes one day can be too much, I'll tell them, tell you what, let's do an hour at a time. And when 1 hour at a time is too much, let's try to live minute by minute. And that's how we make it. That's how we overcome. So for you to be able to bring solutions to this problem, to our current problems, you're going to need an upgrade. And that upgrade is not going to come from any theory, but through your experience. Your upgrade is going to be the thing God walked you through. It's like David walking through the valley of the shadow of death. There is a tenacity and a boldness that someone who has been upgraded is able to bring. You can't tell me, the enemy can't threaten me with certain things that I have overcome. You can't tell David, beware of the valley of the shadow of death, because he already walked through it. And the courage is in knowing that, you cannot tell that the Egyptians, the Israelites, could not have gone into the promised land without having gone through the Red Sea and without Pharaoh and his chariots pursuing them. Haven't you ever wondered and said, because I'm talking to you about your rising up, and I want to talk to somebody today who is maybe in this place where they said, this doesn't look like rising up. Because I thought that, coming out of Egypt, I thought that was the answered prayer. But I can't believe that God has allowed me to come out of Egypt, and now I'm standing before a Red Sea, and behind me, there is a whole army pursuing me. Have you ever been in that place and you're saying, God, this is not making sense? Anybody? Just me? This is not making sense to me. I thought you were supposed to leave Egypt and ride into the sunset and into the promised land. But you see, what the Lord understood is that until the children of Israel had one last look at Pharaoh and his horsemen in defeat, they would go into the promised land afraid of Egypt. Nobody in the promised land would be allowed to wear an Egypt t-shirt because they would catch feelings. I just don't do Egypt. Don't say Pharaoh, okay? I don't do okay with Pharaoh. And while, we want to advance, we want to be conscious of the fact that we are coming from Egypt. But let me tell you, if you allow for your upgrade through that moment where you submit your situation to God, what he's doing is he's making you an overcomer so that you don't spend the rest of your life in the promised land with fear. So many people rise into levels of greatness with deep insecurities. Read the story of Gideon. He was such an insecure leader, maybe because of everything he had been through. But let me wrap it up with this last thing, is in knowing that your rising is your next level. Your rising, ladies, is your next level. But when we think about next level, let's challenge once again what next level looks like. Because now, as we prepare for 2023, there will be many options for next levels. But when you think about your next level, this is what I want you to consider. Think of where you begin. So most times we know where the goal is. And then we listen to someone who will say, in order for me to reach that goal, I'm going to go on a sprint, I'm going to go on a bicycle ride. And I will be there in record time. But you see, if I'm going to go on that bicycle ride, I can only do that bicycle ride if my location allows me to ride a bicycle. There are people who need to fly. Others need to take a paced journey with many stopovers. Ladies and gentlemen, when you think about your next level, it's well and good. But my question is, where are you starting from? And I want you to take time thinking about that. What are the things that have happened in your life? Where are you today? If we did mapping, we have different starting lines. We are getting set and ready to go, not from a straight line, but from different starting points. So your mode of getting there is going to be determined by where you are. But whatever it is that you are starting from, I want to leave you with this. Wherever you're starting from, ladies, I want you to know you have the power to decide that your day of rising up is today. It means that many times we want to wait until. I often share the story about how the night my husband died, the Lord led me to worship him. While my husband's body was still warm and it was still in ICU, and he called me there to worship him, and I belted out worship like I'd never ever done before. There were some people from my church, some young ladies that were also there, and the nurses were saying, shame, she's praising God. I think she thinks he's still alive. Because you see, what they do is they keep the deceased person connected to the ventilator, to the, whatever support system for a couple of hours. I think that's the rule. But I knew he was God. But God said to me, come and worship me now. And for years, I didn't really understand what was that all about, until God began to show me that, you see, I need for you to make a shift towards your recovery in the moment. You see, it would have been better, I thought, to come into this posture of praise and thanksgiving after the funeral, after a few months, at least when I'm feeling better. I just came to say to you today, he's the only one who's going to make you feel better. Maybe you're in the midst of a relationship that's not right, and you keep promising God and say, Lord, I'm going to make this turnaround. Let me just clean up first. The prodigal son did not take time cleaning up. He came right out of the pig's pen as he was, and he said to himself, the woman with the issue of blood, after 12 years of bleeding, she said to herself, if I can only touch the hem of his garment. Maybe you're waiting for your WhatsApp group to give approval for what you should do and when you should do it. Maybe it's your bestie and you're asking, what do you think about this? But it's going to matter what you say to yourself. You have the power to decide, to make a call concerning what you will do. And God is saying today, all you need to do is come back on the path of your recovery, still smelling of the pig's food, while you still haven't figured it out, while your life is still in a mess, come today. While the body is still warm, come and worship me now. While there is still confusion in your life, come and tell me about it, because your time to arise is now. Why don't you give the Lord a praise?
Another round of applause for that beautiful message from Pastor Gladys. Pastor Gladys, we love you and we appreciate your message. Okay, so we can be seated, please. Thank you. Okay, just before we move on, we have a special announcement from one of our partners, Ruth Moto. As she comes to the front, please remember to give her a round of applause as she comes to the podium. A louder round of applause, ladies.
Good morning. Vanorena, thank you. So I have been a Kupes girl since Kupes, though I haven't been active, but I'm always a Kupes girl. So surprisingly this year, she didn't call me. You did not call me. So I called her and I said, we have Kupes. What is my perfect stitch doing? You haven't sent me a list. And then she says, So I sent her a complete list that said, this is what we're doing, but we're also going to add one special thing. So to this one special thing, I just want to give a bit of background. This year, I started my year in Mount Zion with their 21-day fast. I've been running my perfect stitch since 2017, some of you might know. And running a business is hectic. Spell that capital, hectic. And this year, when we're going into the year, I said, God, if I don't start this year with you, in my marriage, in my parenting, in my business, I will not survive the year. So we started the fast. In the middle of the fast, I got an email that canceled something. I continued the fast. After the fast, I went into depression. And I kept on saying, God, you have to hold me, you have to hold me. And the front is full of women who have held me. From Manorena, Auntie Priscilla, Mrs. Paswani, literally, because all the time I would call and I would say, I can't. And we'd sit and we'd have crying sessions. And they'd say, you have to make a decision. And the year went on. I did a lot of things scared, and we got one of our biggest jobs with the UN this year. And so, even when I was telling Manorena about this last special thing, it was coming from that background, that a lot of us are taught to go into entrepreneurship. Very few of us, if any, have someone to hold our hands to tell us how to do that process. We go to conferences like this, which are great, but you need to do ZRA air returns, you don't know how to do it. You need to do PACRA, you don't know how to do it. You don't know that NAFSA charges 20%, and after 3 years, you discover that you are owing 150,000, you are owing this, and you have to come out in the world and you have to show that you are a success. But when you go back, you have 15 people you employ every month that look to you because they have 7 children at home. And so I told her I would like to have 3 interns who will be coached by me. And so this process, okay, hold on before you clap. It's not going to be done through a raffle. It's going to be someone who is fully dedicated. You have to decide that you really want to learn how to run a business. Not so that you can get an award. Not so that you can say my brand is on Instagram and we have 15,000 followers. It has to be from you because it is hard. This past month, I had a German expert who came in who literally walked through our business growth plan. And the first 2 weeks was criticism. You are undisciplined, you don't do this, how do you expect to grow? So if you're going to come, or if you're going to register for this internship, please know that you're not coming to play. Please, you're not coming to play. I will walk through the process with you. I will do mentorship with you. I will help you. I will connect you with people that I know who have helped me personally. But if you're going to walk to my perfect stitch, we're just behind here, 25 Parliament Road, and you are the person, I'm going to honor my part that I'm going to teach you. You have to honor yours that you want to learn and you want to be one of the businesses that is coming out of Zambia. So I'm looking forward to meeting you very soon. Vanarena will give me all the details, and have fun today. Thank you.
Aren't you glad to be here today? Aren't you glad to be here today? Ladies in the back, aren't you glad to be here today? We are nearly there, nearly there. So just before we get into tea, we will have one of our partners from Zisk Insurance Limited. The representative who will be coming to the front is Pennifa Nyirenda. She is the Customer Experience and Communications Officer. But just before she comes up to the front, please pay attention to the screen as they have a video to play. Thank you.
Solid partners, flexible solutions.
Yeah! This GI is at Kupes. Oh, wow. So many great faces. Good morning. I was told that there was energy in the room. Is this the good morning we get? So let's do this again. Good morning, Kupes! Awesome. Allow me to do the protocols. Lady Norina, don't laugh at me. Honorable Minister, great to have you, and I'd like to recognize your presence. Our amazing host, my big sister, and she's also my board chair. We sit on some boards together, Lady Norina. A big hand for Lady N, guys. So it's such an amazing opportunity that we have as Zisk General Insurance to speak here, and allow me to also recognize the distinguished speakers who are sitting on this table and I think around the room. Amazing people all around who inspire us in many ways. And some of you may be wondering, Zisk General at Kupes, what is their interest? Well, I'm here to break it down for you, right? I do have a presentation just to help us get through our conversation because, you know, we are the current generation that love pictures and all those things. I hope the illustrations will be able to help you understand our story better. Technology shouldn't fail me. So just to reintroduce myself, my name is Pennifa Nyirenda. I'm Customer Experience and Communications Officer at Zisk General Insurance Limited. Some of you will be like, Steven Zako Zisk. Yes, I'm a two-in-one. I call myself a dual citizen. So just in case you're wondering what's going on, yeah, this is where I work. And in case you're familiar with my work at ZNBC, I am part-time at ZNBC. This is my full-time job. And I'm glad to be privileged to work in 2 institutions. So today, I'm wearing the ZISC GI hat. So, it ain't responding. Who's the IT guru? It seems to be. Oh, there it is. And it's disappeared. Okay, so insurance. I did mention that some of you will be wondering why ZISC GI is here. And I do know that as Kupes, the K stands for knowledge. Am I right? Yeah. So we came in as partners to share knowledge. As a Kupes girl, you need to be well informed. And that means when you go out there and somebody's having a conversation about certain things, you need to be confident about it. And so we came to equip you with insurance information. So some people will be questioning, insurance companies get free money. Oh, so do I really need insurance? Oh, maybe the way I built my house, there's no way it can break down. I used materials that I got from Dubai or from China, so nothing can happen to it. It can withstand. I want to give you scenarios which perhaps you have seen from place to place, and these are things that in our everyday life, they'll come across, they'll present themselves in a way that they catch us off responding. Okay, there goes our first picture. Something familiar, right? Made the news, guy. And some taxis. Thank God nobody died. But it can be as nasty as that car crash where nobody actually saw, cracked, and sometimes they actually completely collapse. So these are things that, unfortunately, you cannot prevent. We thank God that He's able to give us the grace to discern and a lot of things, but life being what it is, there will be that unexpected thing that will catch you off guard. So, what comes in are some familiar faces. Do we know who that is? Do you remember what happened to him? How about this guy? I couldn't find a very high-res picture, but if you look at these scenarios, in case you don't know, this is Tishon on the left and Mumbayachi on the right. Do we know them? Okay, Pastor Gladys is here. We go to church, but we know Tishon, ka? You don't listen to him. Okay, me, I do. Pastor Mpangwe, we are not in trouble. Why? Please don't disfellowship us. We listen to Mumbayachi. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, these things don't choose who they should happen to. It can be a Tishon, somebody you love. It can be a Mumbayachi. But it can also be a relative of yours whose car is broken into and the laptop is stolen. So what happens? There are so many questions of, can I get a begging bow and bow my yangane boy? Those are the usual scenarios that we encounter. So loss, tragedy can happen to any one of us. You can be walking out of this room and you find your car, as I have illustrated, has been broken into. Your windows, you find your window has been broken, and whatever it is that you had left in your car has unfortunately been taken away from you. And those are things that you really, really value. So, what are we saying? ZISC General Insurance is here to help you rise. I love the theme, rise. I did not exactly get an eagle, but this bird is the closest illustration to our representation of assurance that we are here to help you rise. How are we going to do this? Allow me to explain, because the basics of insurance are such that it helps you get back to where you were before the calamity happens. So when you're talking to somebody about insurance and you go out there and you're like, there's a Kupes, bezwakambako insurance. Ngati mwaiwala nkukambati insurance helps you to get back to where you were. Mwavela? Yamuizeka? Crash course insurance. So it is your surest backup plan, because how insurance works is that you pay what are called premiums. These premiums are contributions that are based on the value of the property that you are insuring. And at some point, I'll give you the difference between life and general insurance. And I'm so happy my sister Navalia Vlahakis is in the house. I'll explain to you why her presence is even better for my presentation, because I was going to talk about her even in her absence. So insurance is your backup plan in the sense that as you're paying these contributions, basically you will have the opportunity at some point to, I'll use the term, redeem that money. It will work for you at the point when one of those scenarios I explained to you happens. Here's how it works. You pay your contributions, and the one that I think will be the easiest for you to relate to is motor vehicle insurance, because it's the most common. So as you're paying for your insurance for your motor vehicle, and it happens that it finds itself in an accident, you find yourself in an accident, thank God, we pray that nothing, leads to death. But in the event that your vehicle needs to be fixed, you don't have to use your own money. Insurance comes into the picture, because you tell the insurance company like ourselves and say, my car was involved in an accident. These are the incidents, like the scenario. We usually request for a police report, and of course it will give a breakdown of everything, and you get money to help you fix your car or replace it. So if it can be fixed, it will be fixed. If it can't be fixed, we'll give you enough money for you to get another vehicle without you going back to say, bank, I need a loan and everything. There's nothing like that. So we always say that it is the surest backup plan. So some of you may be wondering, or if you've heard the term claim, what is a claim in insurance? A claim is a claim is what you get back. The process of you getting assistance is through a claims process. So we'll guide you. We've got experts who will be able to show you how to work around the claim. And for you to get this money back, it means, remember that insurance is a contract. There's an insurance company, and there's yourself who is insuring whatever it is that you attach value to. And when you need to get that money back, you need to lodge a claim. And one of the critical things about claims is that you need to notify in reasonable time. If you take too long, it's like a crime scene. If you disturb evidence, things will be altered, and you don't want that to happen, so that it's easy for you to get your compensation back. And so this is my simplest way of explaining to you that claims are just basically the money that you get back when something happens. And to demonstrate that as Zisk General Insurance, we pay claims, I want to just show you that we have increased our claims repayment as a business to the point that in 2021 we paid up to 177.3 million kwacha, and the year before it was sitting at 70.1. So this is because we want to remind you that an insurance company exists to pay claims. If we are not paying claims, it means we're not doing our job. And if you have challenges with any of our claims processes, we invite you to call on us and present those cases so that we are able to expedite your claim. Because the whole idea, again, of insurance is so that it doesn't take long to help you to get back to where you were. Of course, these were just figures for me to demonstrate to you that it doesn't matter how big or small your claim may be. We are paying as much as you can see here, $2.5 million for some of the big clients we have, like Zesco. And so if I'm to put Zesco in perspective, Zesco insures, okay? Their property, Zesco has invested in all these power plants. So if Zesco has a problem right now, one of the generators is down, guess who they will call for them to buy a new generator? Is Zisk General Insurance, because we're the ones who've insured them. And in 2020, we actually gave them $2.5 million because they had a fault. And at Kafua Gorge as well, there was a situation there which we had to compensate. And these are some of the illustrations I wanted to give you, that insurance can be as big as it is here, or in the case of Ministry of Agriculture, where there was germination failure. I'm sure we're familiar that there's climate change at the moment. So there were some of the farmers under the Farmer Input Support Program who needed compensation because they could not, their crops didn't do as well. And yes, you can insure your crops. There are a lot of myths and misconceptions. Maybe another time, Lady Norina will allow us to go into myths and misconceptions when you have one of your Kupes charts in a smaller cohort. Would love to be there to just give that information. So moving on, I know I have a few minutes. The basic message I have for you is that if you value it, you will insure it. So if it's a car, you will insure it. If it's a house, you will insure it. And deliberately, I put jewelry. In case you didn't know, even your jewelry can be insured. Makamaka mafoni yalipaja na ma laptop please don't be surprised. These are things that you can insure, and my team is available to explain how some of these things are done. But also, it's just for you to know that it is important to insure your valuables so that you don't go with a begging bowl when something happens to you. So, this is the part where I explain to you the difference between life and general insurance. So from what I've said, don't forget two things. Insurance takes you back to where you were before the tragedy happens, okay? And if you value it, you will insure it. Moving on to the difference between life and general insurance. There are two categories of insurance in the market. We said we are sharing information now. When you go out there, tell them, did you know that there's a difference between life and general insurance? You've got a story to tell today. So general insurance is short-term. It is renewable after a period of time. Life insurance is long-term. You save over a period of time, and when the policy matures, you go and redeem your money. You go and get your money. For general insurance, when something happens, you are paid immediately that incident happens. So life is long-term. You can save, if it's education, for 3 years, for 10 years. If it's university, you can save for as long as 15 years if that's your target. But when it comes to general insurance, it is short-term because it is for a specific period of time, and it is renewable quarterly or annually, depending on your preference. Taponzilako or something? Maybe Lady Norina will say, Atawe, Shan. Right? Awesome. So I hope that's something that you've been able to pick up. Here I'm just showing you that the general insurance market has 22 insurance companies, and this general is sitting in third position with 12% of the market share after PICZ and NICO. So these are 2021 figures. And for us, as a state-owned enterprise, Honorable Minister, we're happy that we are competing favorably against the very competitive market. And by the way, whatever business we get from government, we hustle for it, because we have to prove our case. Outside that, they'll say, Kuliba PICZ will go to them. But we are thankful that we've received quite a lot of support from government, and we are pursuing more business within the industry. So to wrap it up, I just want to encourage you, in case you have more questions. I know this may not be enough for us to speak on insurance. Please contact us using our call center. We've got what we call a multi-dimensional contact center, which has WhatsApp, those of you who love WhatsApp like me. We've got our Facebook page, Google My Business, LinkedIn, emails, WhatsApp. It's all integrated into one contact center so that you can use multiple channels to contact us. And so, my take home as I wrap it up, I just want to encourage you that your focus as somebody who is insured is to do your business. Focus on getting your work done and let the risk-taking remain with the insurance company. That is why we exist. So your job is, if you're from Perfect Stitch, please focus on the designs, focus on everything. In case a fire, something happens, you remember that there's insurance, and you don't have to say, but government, what? We don't want you to be that kind of person, because you are a Kupes girl, you are equipped, you are knowledgeable, you know how things work. If anything happens, we got your back. So this year, got your back. Enjoy the conference, ladies. God bless you.
A round of applause for Pennifer for that elaborate presentation about insurance. It is tea time now. Are we still excited? I know, we have food. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so tea time to our wonderful guests, Honorable Tamba Tamba, Lady Norena, our guest speakers for today, and friends of Lady Norena. The ushers will direct you to where your tea will be, and you will leave through that door on the right. To our lovely partners and participants, please stay seated, and the ushers will direct you to where you're supposed to go and when. Okay, so I know you're eager to eat, but we'll ensure everyone has had something to eat. Okay, can we please be upstanding as we allow Honorable Tamba Tamba and our lovely guests to leave.
such an honor to be here as always. Thank you so much to Lady Norina. Thank you, Mom. Thank you. You know I love you so much and I celebrate you. Thank you so much to the clergy. Pastor Gladys, I love you so much. God bless you. Sir Andrew Chibuye, I see you. My dear sister Leah Pambewe, we celebrate you. We love you. And thank you to everybody else who is here. Of course, not Mom Kudia Kwine, so maybe we just dance a little. Mama Ju, I see you. All right, so please feel free to worship God with us in this song. I'm joined by my dear friends, Agatha and Lydia. Say hi.
Hi.
And Joshua on the keyboard. So please feel free to worship God with us and just thank Him for how far He has brought Kupes. I've grown with Kupes, and it's such a beautiful thing to see us still going forward, pushing this beautiful agenda. Bambi batila lesa takwaba, bambi batila lesa tatumfwa, alinte mwisha, bane alimfwila, kalumbanye lumbanye, ishinalienu, kalumbanye lumbanye. Alienu, yeah, yeah, Jehovah, Jehovah, Mulibakulu, Mulibakulu, Jehovah. Ande papa bantu bambi baleti takwaba chitemwiko kuno kunze bafwaye nsansa muchalo chaluba bafwaye omweo muchalo chakuwela mweba bumbile imiulu nesonde nalisanga omweo mulimwe takwaba takwakabe bambi abanga temwanga imwe nkalumbanye lumbanye ishinalienu. Praise God with me. Jehovah, Jehovah, mulibakulu, mulibakulu, Jehovah, Jehovah, mulibakulu, mulibakulu, yeah, 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 mulibasuma, mulibamweo, mulibasasa, mwechitemwiko, batata bandi, batata babose, lesa waba, lesa chilolo wa mutende, mulibasuma, mulibamweo, mulibasasa, mwechitemwiko, batata bandi, batata babose, lesa waba, lesa Jehovah, Jehovah, mulibakulu, 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 Agatha, praise your God. Hey, ah, hey, hey, ah, hey. No way. Ah, Lydia. Hey, ah, hey. No way. Now it's your time. Hey, ah, hey. No way. One more time. Hey, ah, hey. Hey, ah, hey. No way. Thank you, amen. Now it's time to dance, eh? Mr. J, are you ready? See, the Lord has been so good to me. I cannot explain it. I cannot explain it. See, the Lord has been so good to me. I cannot explain it. I cannot explain it. He loves me and cares for me. I cannot explain it. I cannot explain it. He loves me. Yeah. Oh, powerful, oh, Lord. See how the Lord's been good to me. I cannot explain it. I cannot explain it. See how the Lord's been good to me. I cannot explain it. I cannot explain it. He died for me. He rose again for me. I cannot explain it. I cannot explain it. No, 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 no. He died for me. He rose again for me. I cannot explain it. I cannot explain it. He's all powerful, supernatural. I cannot explain it. I cannot explain it. No, 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 no. Do you know how far God has brought Lady Norina? How far He's brought us? Hey! Almighty, all powerful, we call you. You make a way. Lord, you make me say, Lord, you make me say, all of us together. Ooh, ooh. Let's just, Mama Juice, stand so. Come on in. you.
Wow. How many are out of breath? Woo! Okay, 2 seconds just to cool down before our next guest speaker comes on the podium. Just pat your friend down. Kariaka t-shirt so fidia.
Another one, I haven't had enough. Another one. Another one. Okay, Kupes Conference 2022. Kupes Conference 2022. Now you have to own it. Indeed, it's our time to rise, yeah? Okay, so while we are moving the podium, I would like for us to do one last thing. So we are going to shout, rise, rise, rise. My time is now. Can we do that? So when I point at this side, it's this side that's going to shout, rise. Aye, own it. Are we ready? Are we ready?
All right. Can we please be upstanding as the bio video plays in the background for our next speaker? Please help me welcome Mr. Andrew Chibuye.
And the Association of Chartered Certified Accountants, SCCA. He has substantial experience providing audit and assurance services to clients from a wide range of industries, including financial services, consumer and industrial products, telecommunications, as well as the public sector. He was recently awarded Best Man Accountant of the Year at the 2022 Zambia Man of the Year Awards. Let's welcome Mr. Andrew Chibuye.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Rise. Your time is now. Thank you. You may be seated. What a welcome. I'm used to talking about the economy, what, here, there, everywhere. To make sure I don't overshoot my time. So good afternoon, everyone. Wow. Lady Norena, in fact, I need to salute from the right side. This is serious. You're doing something big here. Huh? Congratulations. To all the other speakers, great to be in your company. Esther Chungu, I hope you saw me. What? I mean, I've got some rhythm, so I made good use of it. Tenacity, dancing in the storm, rise. That's my topic. I always start presentations with disclaimers. My disclaimers today, I'll behave. Number one, I have quite a number of questions to ask. So in case you think I'm coming to just talk to you, you're going to be asking yourself and yourselves a lot of questions. Number 2, dancing in the storm. I'll use the word storm and crisis interchangeably. But what does this mean? And I see all of you. Some of you maybe you're having a good time. Crisis? What crisis? Others have, this is too much for one person to bear, is that it has to resonate with all of you. I will try. So I'm a professional. We don't sleep after the budget is read, trying to appear more knowledgeable about the budget than the person who wrote it. Yeah, no, you see what he meant was, he told you what he meant, but we will try and tell you what he really meant. So I actually didn't think too hard about this topic. Yesterday, I was in ShopRite, and what I do when I'm given a topic, I have to internalize it. It has to, I have to become one with the topic. Dancing in the storm. And I was at the queue, having bought biltong and dried mangoes, dancing in the storm. And I've got an anthem for different seasons of my life. And at the moment, my anthem, when I'm ready to give up, Lord, you won't let me go. You keep holding me. When I'm ready to give up, Lord, you won't let me go. You keep holding me. Don't worry, even if you don't sing, it's my anthem. And I started to move, dancing. You know, I started to imagine. Yeah, in the queue. You won't let me go. You've got me. I know there's safety in your arms. You won't let me go. And I was imagining it's raining. You have to get into the topic. What does it mean to be dancing in the storm? Not the rain, the storm. Never give up, Lord, you won't let me. Lord, you keep holding me. When I'm ready to give up, Lord, you won't let me go. You keep holding me. And then it occurred to me, we want to get to a point where we are celebrating the crisis. You are celebrating the storm. Your prayer is, Lord, thank you for my storm. How? Turn to your neighbor and tell them, thank the Lord for your storm. Hallelujah, church. How? This storm that seems to have come to crush me, I say thank you for the storm. And I'm dancing. I mean, I'm not a very good dancer, but I've got some rhythm. So even if the song is there, I won't be out of sync. Or we're still yaba kulukubo kofi. You're dancing in the storm. So by the time we're done with this session, we want to get up and dance in the storm. Now, reality check. Uncertainty, disruption, crisis are inevitable. They are coming, whether you like it or yes. So the prayer, Lord, please take away the storm, is the wrong one. Because the storm is coming. What is your storm? Yes, I expected pin drop silence here, and that is what is happening. What is your storm? I'm going to tell you a story. In 2020, I got promoted, became the chief executive at PwC. So, yeah, we are arriving. I came up with a 100-day plan. And then lo and behold, as we started implementing it, COVID arrived. My HR manager is here somewhere. Ngoza, where are you? You're there? Yes. So if you think I'm telling stories, you can ask her. So people start getting sick in the office. Okay. So people start getting sick. Okay, so what do? No, we are a listening firm. We care about our people. All of you go and work from home. We just want you to be safe. I don't know where my 100-day plan is 2 years later. And then, now they're sitting at home. And I'm like, oh my, there's load shedding at home. They can't work. How am I going to pay them? They'll be safe, but broke. So now I have to address them to tell them that actually you have to come back into the office. But I just told you that, your safety is our priority. So call the meeting. No, you see, we will endeavor to ensure the safety of all of our people, etc., etc. So you have uncertainty everywhere. You think you've got it figured out, life throws something at you. I came up with a frame of thinking, which I called life is like a case study. And what it says is, how many of us have written an exam where they give you pre-exam material before you go in? A case study. Okay, just if you haven't, after I explain, you understand. Don't worry. So what they do is they give you some background information, and you're meant to study it before your exam. When you go in the exam, they give you additional information and questions. Now let's see if you are an attentive class. If in the exam, the only thing you do is focus on the information you were given before exam day, will you pass? Kupes, I can't hear you. Will you pass? No. If you concentrate only on what you're given in the exam, will you pass? No. You must combine the two. So then I said to myself, everything happening around me, COVID, the country and its economy, people resigning, is my pre-exam case study material. After I've looked at it, after I've acknowledged that indeed I've got a crisis, I must ask myself these questions. Okay, now what? When I'm talking to myself, I take it a step higher. I say, so what? But I can't tell my staff members, okay, so what? Because they'll say, he's very rude. Turn to your neighbor, ask them, what next? Remember, where are we going? Dancing in the storm. So the first word was actually very apt. Tenacity. And it's a journey, yeah? I've got 3 steps. Since I'm a professional, I need to give you some framework or some model. So this is Chibuye's 3-step model for dancing in the storm. Hallelujah, church. You can even bring an offering. So, Lady Norena helped me with step 1, tenacity. What does it mean to be tenacious? The quality of continuing to exist, especially in difficult circumstances. Persistence. Okay? So, back to definitions. Continuing to exist. I also came across a terminology called tensile strength. That is the ability of a material to resist fracture or breaking when being pulled apart. We're going somewhere. Hallelujah, church. Tensile strength. How do you increase your ability to withstand being pulled apart? How do you ensure you don't fracture or rupture? Not ija rupture ya mu Bible. Just break apart. There's an experiment done in 1950 by a gentleman called Dr. Kurt Richard. And what he did was he put rats in a jar, okay, in jars, and left them. They tread water for 15 minutes and died, okay? Then they put other jars, they put rats in there, they tread water in 15 minutes. When they were just about to start sinking, they were pulled out, dried, and they were put back in. On their second attempt, they tread water for 60 hours. It was an experiment that confirmed that hope builds tenacity. The theory is that because they hoped they would be rescued, they continued to tread water. One day. 60 hours, you can even say it in days. It makes sense, eh? 24 hours. 2 days, that's 48 hours. When you're getting to 60 hours, you're in your third day. I'm not sure if they resurrected afterwards, but. So tenacity is built on hope. And that is where we're going. Our task is to build hope. But I have a problem with tensile strength and tenacity as the destination. Because remember, as you are being pulled apart, if the pressure remains there, at some point, there will be deformity, even if you don't break. So the issue is, how do you come back to your normal state? Because a persistent state of pressure or pulling will deform you, no matter how much strength you have. Okay? So how do we come back? And enter step 2 of the model, resilience. Tenacity, you survive. Resilience, you recover. Resilience. The ability to recover from difficult circumstances quickly. Remember, our destination is where? In the storm. So how do I go from simply resisting fracture to coming back to my normal state in crisis? Because I need to dance in the storm. Resilience is about building your capacity, your ability to absorb, your ability to dissipate what is happening around you. Dissipate, to scatter. The pressure comes at you this way, you scatter it. You go back to your normal state. Or you absorb it. So step 1 is what? Step 2. Step 3. The will to win. Thrive. And that is our destination. So between tenacity and thriving, there's a step in between called resilience. Lord, thank you for my storm. Are we praying that prayer yet? So step one, let's now go to the practicals. Step one, building tenacity. In this storm, and some will say, if we're talking about, because storms are different, I'm sure some here, COVID was a great thing. People became overnight successes selling face masks. Yes. Someone who has built a house of face masks. Whilst everyone was... It was an opportunity. So in the crisis, in the storm, there are some who are dying, some who are just surviving, and some who are thriving. The question is, which one are you? This is your own self-assessment. We're trying to build tenacity. Number two, you must be optimistic. Remember, tenacity is built on what? It's built on what? You need to respond. Tenacity is built on? So you must be optimistic. My friends, if you declare, "Oh Lord, I'm finished," Mwebantu, chapwa. As you have declared, so shall it be. What are you telling yourself? What is your message to yourself as you rise every morning? Ise, ni so chabe. Koseni honorable. I hope they edit that out, Edit it out. Number three, do what you must to survive. I heard Madam Ruth telling us about getting someone into her business. They've come to discipline her. Stop spending money here. Stop spending money. Save costs. Do what you must to survive. Obviously, that doesn't include going to deal in drugs. We're just talking about what is legal. And one can say, no, now is advocate. No. We have a certain framework in Kupes. So according to the Kupes framework, if the Kupes framework does not permit you, please do not do what you must to survive. That is my disclaimer. We are building tenacity. Building tenacity. Tenacity is built on hope. Dying, surviving, thriving. Which are you? I'm finished. Or they ain't seen nothing yet. Or even better, is it here? My time is now. Resilience. So, I hope, look at your neighbor. Do they look more tenacious? They look a bit more tenacious, a bit more hopeful. No, Esther, this is how tenacity looks. Yeah. In case you're wondering. So how do we start building resilience? The ability to recover. Let me state the obvious. When you are in a crisis, your margin of, one of the things that crisis does is that your margin of error reduces. Okay? If you make a mistake, the costs are greater. If you make a mistake, it takes longer to recover. So what am I saying? Avoid mistakes. How? That's why you have this entire network. Discuss, consult. Have you ever heard the expression, measure twice, cut once. How do you ensure you reduce the chances of making a mistake? Consult. We're building resilience. Number 2, find a silver lining at all costs. Since I'm an accountant who masquerades as an economic expert, but because I know a thing or two more than everyone else, everyone just yes, Mr. Chiwe. When you go on radio, they ask you a question, this one. And now you see, no, I need to give you the point. You confuse the interviewer. You haven't even answered the question. No, that was a powerful answer. Yes. I masquerade as an economic expert. So find a silver lining. Where am I going? There are people who Russia, Ukraine, what? Someone is saying, do you know that what the price of wheat is likely to be in a few years' time? Let me start my wheat farming. I've given you an example of COVID. Time to start dealing in masks. The people that inspire me most on silver linings, in fact, even if you ask Ngozi, I should tell you, I did a paper on them and circulated to the office. You know those guys who operate at the flyover, yeah? Those dudes, I love them. They are one of my inspirations in business. A drop of rain now. Look at the sky, how clear it is. If there's a drop of rain now, just one, and you go there, what will you find them with? If Zambia is playing today, you find them with? In fact, the rain one is funny because you even find them with wipers. Say, gentlemen, how am I going to change wipers here? So the question is, what do you see? It's bad, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. Okay. As you have seen. What do you see? And the thing about sight is that it's the most proactive of all your senses, okay? Because I can see my image at the back there, very powerful, no, on this side. Thank you. This one now. Our graphics were not enhanced. That's not how I really look. If I didn't have a microphone and you were standing at the back, I might not hear you, okay? If you've got a powerful cologne and you're standing at the back, I definitely won't appreciate it. You even if you're standing at the back there and you want to cause me harm and you start throwing punches in my direction, there's nothing that will happen. But I can see you from here. Sight allows you to go beyond the horizon, beyond what is obvious here. What else do you observe? I was on the radio the other day, someone calls and says, there's nothing in this budget for SMEs. I say, I almost asked, have you read it? Because if you see nothing, indeed, if you haven't read it, obviously, if you don't know, then there's nothing for you. What do you see? We're building resilience. Then focus on what you can control. A lot of the stress that we encounter is because we try and deal with things we can't control. Okay, the price of fuel has gone up. You know, even the price of fuel now, the price of fuel, the price of fuel, the price of fuel. Okay. So what? This is Stephen Covey's focusing on your circle of influence as opposed to your circle of concern. For what is happening which you have no ability to control should not be your primary focus. What is your reaction to it? What is it you can control? We're building resilience. Build a support system for recovery purposes. And what I see here encourages me greatly. And then what is your coping mechanism when the storm comes? Do you now sit and cry in the rain? My friend, you get a cold, eh? Pneumonia is coming. Plus depression. Or do you put an umbrella on your head? Me, I ride my bicycle at 04 in the morning in the middle of nowhere. Helps me to get things out of my head. What is your coping mechanism? This one is interesting. Thicken your skin. The 20 minutes you spent upset because of the comment on your hair, was it worth it? And here, nobody here gets upset about their hair or their shoes. Or, I'll give you what happened to me. Because we're talking about resilience. I'm talking about you being careful what you allow in. Let's put it this way. This life has got enough problems for you to be stressing about what someone has written on your Facebook post. You know what I mean, eh? No, have you seen crisis? Hey, my friend, I've got enough on my plate. I'll tell you another story. So I become a partner, okay? And I was 33 at the time, 32 and a half to be specific. And very zealous, no, we're here to take over the world. But it so happened at the same time, a few of the other partners left, okay? So it actually was a crisis situation because, so PwC now is in the hands of young people. Will it survive? Okay? So I campaigned to become president of the Zambia Institute of Chartered Accountants at the time. And there was a poster that was released which simply said, accounting needs mature leadership. Okay? So my campaign team was up in arms. They can't be saying this. Yeah, what? I said, gentlemen, it's true. The accounting profession needs mature leadership. Age and maturity are two different things. They are not talking about. Okay? Lo and behold, well, I didn't win, but that's a story for another day. I got to meet some very high-level people, okay? And just by virtue of saying I'm from PwC, some people give you appointments. So we go with my colleagues, and we enter this room, and we find a gentleman. Good morning, sir. We're here from PwC. We're here to discuss. Does it mean PwC does not have people with gray hair now? What is this now? Just boys, he actually said, just boys and girls in PwC. You need seasoned leadership. So we come out of that meeting. Okay, interesting. And this, what I'm telling you is important because you encounter, what I'm talking about is bias. I've encountered bias from an age perspective. But it's one of the best things that has ever happened to me. And I'll explain shortly why. I got to another meeting, this time with a lady, also very powerful. So I sit here, she's sitting there. My boss, who was then country senior partner, is sitting here. So we're from PwC, we've just come to pay a courtesy. Excuse me, who is in charge here? Okay, so the meeting stops. My boss says, no, the young people, they are the future. So when we got back to the office, we now have a crisis meeting. Guys, the market is clearly saying there's a problem at PwC. There are just boys and girls there. I said, ladies and gentlemen, This is fantastic. Because what they have done is that they have lowered their expectation of us. So for us to step over this lowered expectation and now to be seen to be outperforming is an opportunity that we must grab. The next week, the gentleman who called us boys and girls, I heard him make a statement on news. I wrote a paper for him, just 3 pages, telling him why what he was saying was absolute junk. Not in those exact words, of course. But that if he proceeded on that trajectory, the consequences for him and his organization would be a disaster. I got a call. Chibuya, yes. Can you come to my office? No problem. What are you saying? I'm saying, here, have you seen your declaration here? What it means. You see, I've done this for the last 15 years. What I'm telling you is, Oh, the following day he was retracting his statement. So I said, if I'm happy with my substance and who I am, I do not care what they have to say. It's not arrogance. It's just being, I have to be careful what I allow. No, now they're saying we are finished. Guys, we're just youngsters. What do we do? What am I going to do about my age? I go to NRC and change it. Thicken your skin. For me, one of the best things that ever happened to me was bias. Because so this is how you perceive me. Wonderful. We'll sort you out. Just give us a bit of time. Today, before he does anything significant, he calls me for a chat. The alternative would be, I think we indeed we're finished, and you shrink into your corner. I'm talking about building resilience, thickening your skin. Facebook, what? I mean, I do a lot on social media. Sometimes, or after I post, I don't even read. I've got a team that manages my social media. Sometimes they're the ones responding. Sometimes I say, what about this one? Say, we'll say this level of ignorance. Let's just move on with life. There are some people that you will never impress. So do not bother your life with yourself with them. We are on a journey though. Resilience is not the final destination. Dancing in the storm. That is about purposing in your heart, I am going to win. So how do we do this? What is your strength? Your key strength? What is it you are designed to do on this earth? Don't tell me finishing Ubonga at home. K for knowledge. U for what? What are you uniquely designed to do? What are you uniquely designed to do? Have you figured it out? Let me tell you, I haven't yet figured it out completely. I'll tell you why. Because the question that I try to answer every day is, in 400 years, should the Lord not have come? The people who will be there in 400 years, how will they know that there was, and the one we used to do at secondary school, I just had to feature. How will they know that there was Andrew Chibuya who walked on the face of the earth? That's the question that troubles me. I'm on the journey to figuring it out. But what we're talking about is your unique strength. What opportunities are there, even in the storm? Maybe we should do something to help people understand what's in the budget. Let me give you one for free. Last year, duties on importing things, I think, was reduced to like $500. Well, maybe some of you were never even paying duty in the first place. You should pay your taxes. That thing can mess you up. That is something for everyone who's trading. Your hair, which you sell, provide some. I'm sure it's within that threshold. What opportunities do you see? Stretch. We're talking about winning. Winning is not just arriving. One of the things I did during COVID is I started social media, a lot of activity. And I came up with different series. And those series actually just tabulate my journey of coping with the environment. And I said to myself, so the first series I had was called Managing Through Crisis. Then I had another series called Refuse to Lose. And I spent a bit of time on it and explained it what. I said, no, but you see, there's a problem with simply refusing to lose. If you refuse to lose, and it's a game of football, you could end up with a draw. You still haven't won. And I came up with a series afterwards called Playing to Win. And one of the things that I spend a lot of time on is believing that as you are setting your goals, they must stretch you. Not you're going for an exam. So no, if we 50 job, 50, you know that one, as though they're closing the door, then you just sneak in, your jacket is caught. No. Why is it important to stretch? Because it starts to affect the way that you are operating. If you're aiming for 90 versus those aiming for 50, we can see them at university. Look at him, what does he think? Who does he think he is? My friend, you're comfortable with your 50. The risk with aiming for 50 is you end up at 49. Even with rounding, you still fail. And that is what I call the margin of achievement. If I'm aiming for 90, I come in at 85, 70. I've still failed by my standards, but have I really failed? You've heard the expression, aim for the stars. If you miss, at least you aim for the moon. If you miss, at least you land amongst the stars. We're talking about playing to win. Be relentless. Not the first challenge. I'm sure if we asked Lady Norena, this journey in Kupes, from when you started to today, what hurdles have you had to overcome? Can you imagine? I heard her on radio. She told me the first Kupes meeting had, with Yuyo Kambi Kambi, I was listening, had 9 people. Maybe she had invested, she brought Esther Chungu to sing, the barbecue was set for 100 people, and then 9 showed up, said, no, I think, let me try something else. Would we be here today? That one is an easy one for us to appreciate. Now, Lady Norena, I'm sure if we asked her properly, you've seen all these people, Zanako, what? I suspect she's been to all these doors knocking. No, you see, Kupes what? You know, Kupes, all these are cutting costs if you ask them. She went to convince them to give money, overcoming obstacles, for us to be here to just be enjoying. No, but this venue, I think we could have done better. What obstacles have you faced? And how are you responding? They say get out of the comfort zone. But my mentor, Elias Chipimo Jr., told me it's not actually the comfort zone, which is the problem. Don't we want to be comfortable? Who here does not want to be comfortable? So how can a zone where you are comfortable be a bad thing? The issue with the comfort zone, what you are actually describing is familiarity. You're just used. This is how we do things. My friend, the whole world has moved to digital now. If you don't have a digital way of contacting your customers, your clients, you're not doing anything. Which is why in the office they tell me, no, you spend too much time on social media. Hey, what? I say, my friend, if I told you how many people have called me from these same things, you think I'm playing games. And at work, I'm very deliberate. I do the things from 7 to 8. I stop. So that people don't say, our boss is, what can even tell us about spending time on Facebook? He's always on Facebook. My friend, do you know that I've paid some of your salaries from what I'm doing there? Yes. So, if you're resisting change, you're still doing things the same way. How do you change? Pursue relevance. The optimal way to overcome any challenge or to be successful is where you become sought after. You're just sitting there saying, no. If Esther Chungu doesn't come, we are canceling the event. What would Esther have done to persuade someone that no, even Pompey can't do the job? Why should I employ you? No, how many people are you looking for? No, I've never worked before. It's a graduate recruitment. Nobody has ever worked. Why are you telling me things I already know? Why should I come looking for you? Your customer. The easiest way to understand this is look at, we're discussing iPhone 14. If they showed you a picture of the iPhone 14 launch in the US, you come and find some people slept, waiting for the shop to open. They put there, just waiting. They have the 13 Pro, now there's 14, they want it. They don't even know what the price is. What causes a product to get to such a point where people don't care about the details? What are you doing so that we come looking? No. Ask Ngoza is here. When we look sometimes on LinkedIn, you see, this CV is powerful. Ngoza, interview next week. Hired. No long story. No, you can't get a job if you don't know people. Okay. At least put a LinkedIn thing and tell us how you are changing the world so that you catch our attention. What are you doing on Facebook? Mind you, we check those things. Very soon, we'll have an algorithm. I work for a global firm. These things are not far away. Where we just key in your thing, it produces a report. Let me tell you an interesting one. There is someone who, this one is actually a sad story. During the campaigns, election campaigns, I don't know what comment I made, but it wasn't even election related. I was talking about the economy, but people perceived it a certain way. This lady came and was actually quite vulgar on my post. She came back later and she was asking me for help. She has no food in her house. That was 3 months ago. I sent her something. I was highly tempted to remind her. But I just said, no, people learn. So what are you doing? Why should we come after you? You yourself should know. You should know. These are my unique selling points. Me, at least I know what I think they are. You can have your views on how good they are. That's your views. Me, I've got what I think my strengths are. I think I can speak very well, pretty well. I'm not intimidated by a crowd. I can, just flow. Except preaching. That one is a higher anointing. Now let's make this practical as I conclude. I'll give you a few statements. Our destination is to even make your own music. Actually, I was tempted to give the DJ the same song. I said, no. I'll make my own music. Even if I'm not Esther Chungu, it's okay. You've only ever failed when you give up. So don't give up. I'm not saying you don't fail. Failing, we all fail. But don't give up, even in the storm. Use your downtime productively. We're talking about resilience, tenacity. I'm currently unemployed. I've been jobless for 3 years now. Okay, so what have you been doing in this period? Well, you can get a degree of YouTube now. You know that, eh? Go and read something. Every day you get my bundles just a cheap Facebook and Instagram. No. Every day, learn something new. I'll give you an example. We get through this, I started trying to get onto social media, a bit more visible. And the idea was, I can't go and meet clients to tell them about PwC. So I need them. At least when I meet them for the first time, they tell me, you're the chap who's been, yes, it's me. Okay, yes, how can I help you? No, you see, we see you're doing something. We think we can help you. No problem, just go and see that. And that's what has happened, okay? Someone saw me when in my early days, you post. They contacted me, I can help you with your graphics design, what. Okay, no problem, show me. I have someone on my payroll who does graphics design for over a year. And it's my cost. What are you doing in your downtime? Things are hard. We are finished. Go and learn how to cook something. Maybe next time Lady Norena has a function like this, you will do the catering for us, You even tell her, no, just give me a 50% down payment. I'll sort out. Here are my samples for my muffins. What are you doing with your downtime? Sometimes, because let's not pretend that everyone is a pure optimist. Or, let me not belittle the fact that some people here have encountered real challenges that even if you told me about them, I'd say, Yango. Pastor Gladys, let's go and see Pastor Gladys. This one is a Pastor Gladys question. These are Pastor Gladys questions, not me. So let's not pretend that everyone can just miraculously get up and say, now we are dancing in the storm. Thank you, Lord, for the storm. No. Think I know. What has he been smoking? What you must do is focus on your very next move. Pastor Gladys was talking about it when in a slightly different context. You can't deal with the whole day, deal with the hour. Can't deal with the hour, deal with 30 minutes, 15 minutes. What is your next move? You have slept enough. Okay, now go brush your teeth. Good. Okay, now what do I do next? Okay, let me watch a YouTube video on something. Let me just call and ask Lady Norena. Let me volunteer to help organize this. You can put that on your CV. Those are what you call life experiences that are relevant. Focus on your next move. Remember to be optimistic. Ask, what do you see? Rather than, what don't you? Go the extra mile. There's no traffic there. I attended a conference here as a speaker. And I saw some guy, he's the one connecting this. Then when the function started, hey, my friend, give me your number. This is history. It's for danger. The other one, opportunities in your mind. Lady Norena, this does Madam BC, let's start an internship. As there, we brought us interns. We failed to release. You come and get some experience. We do 10 people who are grade 12. Let's do that. Structure it. And that one, I don't even. All right? Go. You walk.
And do better. Before I say anything else, their name.
You may take.
Powerful presentation. So much. I hope that we will go back. Shine, what? Everything. Hey, but watch the space. We will have, let's pay attention to the screens.
Good afternoon, Kupes. See each one of you here through. We appreciate you. So I'm here representing our second year with Kupes. As you can see, as you know, asking ourselves, how can you be a changer? And for us as a brand, we have over 600 employees. Stand the phases that are here in Zambia. And that is, your time is now. At FNB, help through her phases, through her transition today. Big announcement where our customers are to change how we changeables. We're always saying, what happens when the bank of the changer to our customers to act and also move with can be uncomfortable. Change is necessary as your friend. Efforts change. And here, in the digital space, I'm asking reason. So, and changes.
Thank you to have some good food. I'll leave as they go to their team in the ladies in black. Lunch today. So everyone knows where the old wing is. So I'm sure everyone have one person raise their hand for lunch. The ambassadors, old wing, make sure you're. So, number one, make sure you have your coupon, just so they can see you. Okay. Clear?
A lot of gifts we haven't given out.
Nick says, one in a deck of cards. Honey, you said whether we better live by the letter we